Good evening and welcome to this episode of Anima-sauras. My name is Kim and welcome to Newsodon for the week of the 26th of March. Well, this week has been quite a lot going on in world news as well, but we're really going to focus down in on what's been going on in animation because there has been some juicy tidbits which have come out that we can then now talk about. The first person we're going to talk about is Albert Uderzo, the French illustrator best known to be the cartoonist and the co-creator of the Asterix comics. He passed away at the age of 92 from a heart attack in his sleep. The second person we're going to mention is the Mexican artist Roman Arambula, who drew the Mickey Mouse comic strips for 15 years. He also suffered a heart attack at the age of 83. So it's been a sad week in that respect for losing some great talent that has had a huge influence on, well, my personal start to creating animation and cartoons. If you're enjoying this content, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe. The next topic I want to talk about is a white paper that's been released by a gentleman by the name of John Evershed, who's the co-founder and former CEO of Mondo Media. He's released a white paper which talks about, he has a look into the North American animation industry and concludes that the adult animation industry is the fastest growing category within animation. His conclusion is that adult animation is arguably the fastest growing animation category with the most headroom for growth. Animation traditionally is seen as quirky and for kids. It's an interesting era that we're going through where animation can be put to different spheres and different applications and can be drawn upon to be more than just kids animation. Again, if you look at demographics, you get an older demographic like me. We grew up with cartoons and we still have an appreciation for the way old cartoons are made. So to be able to put topics to the older cartoons that are more appealing to what we like in the traditional style is a way of just growing with a growth market. Like he said, there is currently 32 different series which are on air. Coming up on, there are 45 upcoming series which are slated for completion within the year, and that's getting produced by 18 different studios, which is great. It means that there is quite a large market of stuff getting produced, and you can see the trajectory of that is growing, especially with the video on demand, the streaming video on demand services, all trying to get a piece of pie that's going to want to run these things. Like the largest purchaser of animation, the adult animation within the North American market is Netflix, who have purchased 12 different IP series, and after that you've got Hulu, who have got 7 slated series which they've purchased to be released. What's really exciting about this then is the need for talent. Like, the animation industry is very small, so being able to find the talent to be able to bring all these projects to fruition is really exciting because it means that there's going to be a demand for the work and quality work too. Again, most of the application has been for 2D, but there'll still be some 3D animation which comes out of that as well. And I'll just leave links to the white paper down in the description. Definitely go check it out. It's at highconcrete.com. It's a free download, but you sign up for the newsletter and I'm sure that John will be able to give you some excellent tips along the way. But there's some really good stuff which he's put in that white paper, so definitely check it out and give it a read. Now, continuing on from our last week, which we talked about, Onward is now going to go pretty quickly into a streaming release. It's actually slated to be on streaming by the 3rd of April, which is under a month since its theatrical release. So with that's going to be like it's a big pushback against cinemas, because cinemas, especially in America, have had a stranglehold for how long they can hold a title before you can then release it outside of theaters. But with everything that's sort of happened, they can't keep that stranglehold on feature films, especially in animation. The first one we're seeing is Onward, to say that it's going to have a release quicker on streaming, but the one that's going to cause the biggest uproar is Trolls World Tour. It's had quite a backlash since Universal have now said that we are going to have it simultaneously released in cinema as well as video on demand. Now, this is the first time that something is going to have such a quick turnaround, and so far the cinemas haven't had anything more than being able to just give a vocal threat that there's going to be more. This is a one-off time just because they can't service the industry. But depending on how it goes from Universal, this might be a change in the stranglehold of what cinema has for being able to release products quicker to direct to the home. Now, this is also going to roll into my next conversation point as well. My slides didn't work. So this will be my bad. And if anyone picks up my bad, you can write my bad down in the comment and say that you actually made it this far in the video. But the Australian cinemas have closed their doors. This has come later than everywhere else around the world, but it is definitely something that's happened. But someone made the point that something which hasn't happened is drive-ins haven't picked up a lot of business. Now, a lot of drive-ins have closed, but there are still a few drive-ins around. If you think about it, you're contained within your car and you can go to the drive-in and still see movies. It's one market which could be exploited through this period. But going on to what I was saying before about streaming release, the one streaming on demand, which is probably going to who is positioned the most the best in a business sense to take advantage of the current climate, is Apple and Apple TV, because with the movies they have, they can put them out on to a market that is already prepared to be paying for just the rental of the movie. So Apple users have always been used to or are primed to be just paying for a movie for rent, as well as then being able to buy it straight off as well. But they've got the infrastructure in place where you can buy singular movies. Whereas if you look at the alternative to somewhere like Netflix, you've just got a broad range of everything for a subscription. So moving forward, you'd think that there's a possibility that Apple TV is probably best positioned to take advantage of any distributor who's going to be in for negotiations to have a window where it is only distributed as a point of purchase for rent. So you can rent it, and then at a later date you can just buy it and release it onto different platforms. The other thing which has come up and become a good discussion point is Disney is also in a position where with a lot of their business taking a huge hit because of the parks have all closed down as well. Or, their big arm of their parks have closed down, so they've lost the income stream out of that, as well as their acquisition of a lot of assets from Fox, that they might be also, Apple might be looking at headhunting parts of Disney where they could then utilize to stream. As you know, Disney Plus has already just gone out and only just been made live, but it won't have a big audience yet. So there's probably an opportunity where CEOs and people, they've already acquainted with each other, they've already been business associates for a long time. They might strike a deal where Apple, which does already have the money behind it to be able to buy some of this stuff off of Disney, which are currently going through what might be a restricted period of time. Never know, soon, just speculation, but something in that might happen. The last thing on my list, which I want to tell everybody about, is with the quarantine and a lot of creative filmmakers being restricted to being in their own home, there is now the Quarantine International Film Festival, which has been put together, which is a film festival for creators who are in home to be able to make short films within a short period and put them up into a festival where we can actually see festival films being put down through quarantine. You've got until everything's online. The rules are up there are really nice and tight and short around a theme of bear. You can take bear any way you want to take it, but around the theme of bear, make a short film that is filmed within the house, as in, or within your quarantine region, because that's where you are. You upload it before the 1st of April to make it into the Quarantine International Film Festival. Now, this is a real exciting incentive, and I can't wait to see what sort of things are actually made out of this, because you can get really creative within the restrictions that you have. All right, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me for this week's news. I think there is so much that's going on in this period of time within animation that is creative and is growing. So let's all work together to bring new stories and new environments together. Till the next time we see ya, bye-bye. The next topic we're going to talk about is the adult industry and... adult industry, that's not right.